Hello and welcome back to another video. It's me, Matt Bacon, and I've decided to go for a bit of a food video today. So today we're going to try and make a caramel coffee chocolate cake. So these are the ingredients I used. I used a box cake, I used 2 caramel macchiato pre-made coffee drinks, some icing and some coffee flavoured frosting. So up first I got my mixer, plugged it in. And I wasn't actually thinking this was going to work because I've taken the concept from the Coke and box cake mix, so I decided to try and do it a little bit differently. So I used these 2 drinks. I used the same amount as what you would use for a soda drink, so 330 mils of liquid to a box cake, and this is what happened. So as I said, here we go. First up, we're going to put in the box cake. For some reason I had real difficulty opening this bag and I don't know why. It got better by the end, but yeah. So I didn't think it was going to work, if I'm completely honest with you. I thought this was going to be a bit of a disaster. I didn't know if the ratios would work. I didn't know if it was something to do with the fizziness of the soda or something like that that's in the soda that will make this cake work, but wait and see, because I think you'll be easily surprised. So I started by putting the dry mixture into my mixing bowl, and we're quite cool. We've got one of these fancy mixing bowls that turns and whisks at the same time, and then I slowly added in all of the coffee mixture. So it wasn't just like a latte, it was a caramel macchiato, so that has coffee, milk and caramel in it, so hopefully it's going to give it a bit more of a richer and a bit more of a denser taste to it. A denser taste? I don't think dense is the right word. So I started by doing it quite slowly, and then as the mixture started to incorporate, I had to turn the speeder up. Becky Crockett do suggest to do it for about 2 to 3 minutes, and there you have it. Our mixture is complete, and I was really surprised. It makes this really good, as you can see. I dropped in the mixing bits there, but as you can see, it was really well incorporated, and it did actually give us this really nice thick creamy batter. It wasn't too wet, it wasn't too dry, and it worked really well. So now I went out and got some pre-made pre-greased cake liners, 50, so I'm gonna have to make a lot of cakes to use all of these up, and I separated it into 2 of them. Like I said, nice and simple, and again the mixture wasn't too kind of runny or too dry, so this step was actually quite easy to kind of do, and yeah, and it kind of divided out really well. It had a great smell to it. It was really chocolatey, but it also had that kind of like hint of coffee to it as well, so I was very happy with my mixture, and that's what I did. So I divided it equally into these 2 cake pans, and then it was time to bake. So Becky Crockett, on the instructions, it basically says to bake for around 28 minutes, and I think it was in there just under 28 minutes. So this is what happened next. As you can see, I was being very delicate about making sure there was enough in each of those bags. Now, of course, I wanted to make sure that it was evenly distributed, so I scraped off all the excess, and of course patted them down to make sure there was no air bubbles and things like that in it, and it was nicely placed in both of the cake pans. So because these cake pans were paper, I decided to put them on a baking tray as well. So after I've made sure that they were all nice and sorted in their cake tins, I placed them on a baking tray into the oven. So there you go, see them in the oven getting ready. And do you know what, I'm actually really impressed with the results from this. These cakes were really good. They weren't crumbly, they didn't fall apart, they had a really good kind of structure to them, and I decided to use a coffee frosting as well. Again, bought it pre-made from Becky Crockett because I'm not a baker, but I do like to work on simple but effective ways of doing it, and there you go. So icing, as you can tell, not my forte. I'm a bit weird about icing, but again, if you look at the cakes, they actually came out really well. They weren't too dry, they weren't dry at all actually, they didn't crack, they weren't soggy, they were actually really good bake. So I would definitely recommend to try this at home if you haven't already, and I'm just really late to the to the bandwagon, but there you go. So I took a bit of time to try and get all this icing all over it, and as you can see, I was having a bit of trouble. I need some more. I think I need some more practice with icing and how to ice. As you can see, I am trying to use a offset spatula. Can't say that quickly, can you? And as you can see, I was just trying to push it around the plate to make it better. Maybe I should have got a lazy Susie, but who knows? You never know. But I did eventually use all of the icing pretty much from that tub. So that whole tub of icing makes it onto this cake, and it actually goes around quite well. I did start by thinking, oh, I better be a bit kind of sparing with this frosting because I need to make it last for the whole cake, but actually by the end I realised I didn't need to do that, and I could be a bit more generous at getting that frosting all over the cake. This frosting, I have to say, smelt absolutely gorgeous. So if you are a coffee fan and you do like coffee cake and coffee cream and all that kind of stuff, this is a frosting you will definitely like. It was so yummy, just to work with, and just that smell was amazing. So I'm hoping the coffee frosting and also the coffee within the cake and the chocolate and the caramel will kind of work really well together and make a really nice cake to celebrate my birthday. So there you go. So the reason why I'm making this cake is because it's my birthday on the 28th of May. So of course, as we're in lockdown, I thought I would get the baking juices going again and put my thoughts to a bit of a baking sesh. So here we go. This is my pre-birthday cake, which most probably I'll be eating again tomorrow as well. So there you go. So as you can see, the icing's going on really well, and I was actually quite impressed with what I was trying to do. I was trying to do something fancy there at one point, thinking, oh, I'll make some like waves in it and stuff, but yeah, I just thought, do you know what, let's just get this icing on and see what happens. So there we go. Maybe definite more training in frosting and making a cake look a little bit more nicer. So there we go. So frosting worked and all was good at this stage. Again, I was really impressed. It wasn't really a crummy cake, so I didn't need to do like a pre-cut, like a, I don't know what they call it when you ice it and then ice it again. I didn't notice any like crumbs coming off it or anything like that. It was really holding its shape and holding itself together, so it didn't like start going crumbly when I was doing the frosting on top. So there you go. I wanted also to pay homage to Starbucks and their caramel macchiato by doing the fancy design on top. So I've got some icings. I've got a caramel icing and a chocolate icing, but I think I'm just going to do the caramel icing on top. And if you have ever been to Starbucks and ever had caramel or a caramel macchiato, you'll know they do like a little swirly design on the top with this rich caramel sauce. So that is coming up, so hopefully you will think the same, and it kind of looks a little bit like the decoration they do on the top of the Starbucks cup. If you work for Starbucks and you think it is good, then let me know. But yeah, who is also happy that coffee shops are starting to reopen again? Yesterday I found a Starbucks that was open on the way back from my work, and I was so happy I had to stop and go and get a coffee. Coffee just tastes so much better when it comes out of an actual coffee machine instead of instant or pods. I've definitely decided that bean to cup is a lot better than pod to cup if you don't have a certain brand of coffee pods. But hey, there you go. So as you can see, the cake is pretty much iced now, and I'm just trying to work out how to do the design at this moment in time. So I'm just taking a look at some pictures and of course at the packaging, because if you've ever had those little coffee pods, coffee drinks, you can actually see the design they put on the thing. Again, I tried to clean up the plate a little bit just because it did look a little bit messy. As you can see, I did a little bit of cleaning up. It works all right, but again, I think I was just making more of a mess. So I think I did it a bit and then thought, let's just move on. So there you go. It kind of worked. It was a little bit less messy as it was. I don't think it was as clean as I thought I was going to make it. So there we go. So on to the icing. Now these little icing tubes I got from the local supermarket. They were a couple of quid. They came in a pack of 4, but they were quite hard to use, as you can see. So trying to just make a straight line was a bit of a challenge, I would have to say. So there we go. So what I decided to do was do these kind of oval shapes, because that's kind of what you get eventually. Just because I wasn't getting a continuous flow of caramel, so I did 4 oval shapes going across and then 4 oval shapes going down, and it pretty much gives you the right kind of look to what they do on the top of the cake, on top of the coffee. So yeah, I kind of think it worked. I had loads of caramel left over, so I thought, you know what, we'll kind of redo some of these lines to see if I can make them a little bit stronger. And then of course, after you've got this kind of like swirly, they do like a little circle as well. So I decided to go crazy with putting loads and loads of circles over the top of the cake to give it this really nice feel. So there you go. But at the moment, I was very impressed with my ability, and I thought I did a really good job. I thought it worked well. Hopefully you guys think it looks good as well. Sorry I can't give you a taster, but there you go. So after I did all the decorations, I left it in the fridge for about 30 minutes just to set up and just to kind of cool, help the frosting kind of set, because that's always a good thing to do, I've been told. And it actually did work, so there you go. Look at that cake. It looks scrumptious, and it did work really well, and I'm really impressed with how long it took. It only took about just under an hour to do all the bits. And again, it's amazing what you can do with these box cakes, and of course you don't need to kind of weigh out all your different ingredients. It's all kind of all pre-made for you. You just have to add in the liquid. You can go straight from the instructions on the box to make a really good cake, or you can adapt it like I have to make it into something a little bit different. So there you go, me trying to be artsy with my my camera knowledge there, trying to give you a nice funky slow-mo shot. But happy days on that awesome, I think they're chickens on that plate, but there you go. So there you have it, the cake was complete, and now it is of course time for a little bit of a taste test, and that taste test was really good. I have to say, this cake is so moist and it was so yummy. The mixture of coffee frosting and the chocolate cake and the coffee inside it worked really well, and I was top notch, very happy with the results. So I hope you enjoyed this little mini video, trying out my new microphone and some new shots. Don't forget to check out my other videos on the channel.